Thank you for joining us today. Always a pleasure. And I just kind of want to get your play-by-play on what happened with these flights and this judge's action. I've been waiting till today to hear it from you.
It's unbelievable that this D.C. Obama judge, Jeb Boasberg, moonlighted this weekend as the commander-in-chief. He went into his chambers on Saturday during the middle of a national security operation where the president of the United States is coordinating with a foreign leader, the president of El Salvador, to deport the most vicious terrorist in the Western Hemisphere, Tren de Aragua, along with MS-13. And this Obama judge in D.C. not only held this hearing during the middle of this operation. Now, he says it was closed door hearing, but it's not in a skiff. So, of course, these details could leak out, and they did leak out during the middle of the operation, which puts American lives in danger, grave danger, along with the lives of our allies. This judge, Bozo, actually thought he had the power to order the president of the United States to turn around these planes and bring back these vicious terrorists. We saw the video that the Salvadorian president posted.
Yeah, Nayib Bukele, great guy.
With the operation, the security operation, with the handoff of these terrorists from America. They land in El Salvador. They're handed off. It's on your screen right now. This is unbelievable. Intense security operation. And this goofball judge in D.C. thinks that you can just turn around these flights and bring them back to America without having these security precautions in place. Did he know how much fuel were on these planes? He did not have the power to do this. This was the most egregious sabotage of the president's commander-in-chief powers by this judge. And this is why I am calling for his impeachment.
Good. I agree. You can't do this. This is the whole thing. The reason why President Trump, one of the many actually, reasons why that he was elected, because people want to stop this lawfare. And these judges are out of control. And you're right. He was trying to usurp the power of the president of the United States, like he's the commander in chief, and issue an illegal ruling. It is highly improper. It should be actionable, and there should be some accountability. Okay. Let's talk to the folks that are watching. You know, what did this Looney Tunes base this ruling on? And what does the language of the Alien Enemies Act tell us and about the president's inherent Article 2 authority to conduct foreign affairs?
The president is the commander-in-chief and the chief executive officer under Article 2 of the Constitution. He has the power under the Constitution alone to repel invasion of our country. And that's exactly what these illegal immigrants coming into our country from Venezuela, this Tren de Aragua, these are vicious terrorists who are coming to our country. The president has designated them as foreign terrorists. He has every right under Article 2 of the Constitution as the chief executive officer, as commander-in-chief, to get them the hell out of our country. Not only does he have the right to do that, he has a duty to do that. And these judges, these activist judges, didn't raise any concern when President Biden illegally mass imported these vicious terrorists over the last 4 years. But then when President Trump gets them the hell out of our country, they think they can stop them. This judge in D.C. can go to hell. In the meantime, the House needs to impeach him. They need to defund him. They need to make him an example out of this guy so these activist judges know there are going to be severe consequences when they do this crap.
No, you're absolutely right. And we cannot have this. There needs to be a precedent established that this is improper, that it will not be tolerated, and there can be no subsequent acts in any way, shape, or form like what this judge did. It's out of control. Like you literally are violating the oath of office. He should no longer be able to wear a robe, okay? And the president's order was very explicit. It directly links, Tren de Aragua and Cartel de los Soles to Maduro. What does that mean for further action and further efforts to stop the violence and drug trafficking?
Well, the direct tie between these international terrorists and the Venezuelan government shows that they are transnational actors. They're working for the Venezuelan government. And so that means the president can use the statutes from 1798 or whatever the statute was, and he can use that statute to get these foreign terrorists the hell out of our country. It's there is minimal due process that they can get under the statute. President Trump satisfied that. He has a duty separate from that statute. He has a duty as commander in chief to repel this invasion. And these people are kidnapping, robbing, raping, torturing, and murdering Americans. Apparently that was acceptable for Joe Biden, but there is a new sheriff in town, and Donald J. Trump is not going to put up with this.
Yeah, and the president is also tasking the DOJ to come up with a plan on how to carry out these tasks, okay? What should that look like, and what role will the FBI have in all of this?
Well, Kash Patel is the FBI director. He's phenomenal. Pam Bondi is the attorney general. She's phenomenal. They are bold, they are fearless, and they are going to carry out the president's orders as they must. The Justice Department is not independent of the president. These Democrats oftentimes say that what they mean is that the Justice Department is independent from Republican presidents while they do the Democrat president's bidding. The Attorney General, this is how it works. Every federal prosecutor and agent in America works for the Deputy Attorney General, who works for the Attorney General, who works for the president, who's elected by all Americans. And the president has made a policy determination that he doesn't want these illegal immigrants in our country, particularly these terrorist gangs, these international terrorists, foreign terrorists, and he's going to get them the hell out of our country. And we have an attorney general and an FBI director and a secretary of Homeland Security and Tom Homan. They are doing their jobs very, very well. Stephen Miller, they are getting these people the hell out of our country as the president has commanded.
I love it. Yep. Meanwhile, President Trump, and this is very interesting to me, and I know to you, we're like two peas in a pod. President Trump says that the Biden auto pen pardons are void. I mean, this is so amazing. What are the relevant statutes and case law, on a situation like this, which is kind of novel? And has something like this ever been litigated? I mean, what's next?
So I think that what President Trump said in his truth post, and he's correct, it's not just the fact that these were auto pens, because a lot of politicians use an auto pen, including past presidents have used an auto pen. The issue is the person who's operating that auto pen, are they carrying out the president's will? Does the president know that they're signing pardons on his behalf? Does the president approve that? Does the president oppose that? And that's the problem with Joe Biden, is he was so demented, so out of it, that we don't know if these pardons were legitimate. Were they legitimately carrying out President Biden's will to pardon these people, or were staffers running in and citing pardons against his will or without his knowledge? Did Hunter Biden run into the auto pen room at the White House and sign his pardon? We just don't know. And the president's absolutely correct. If they sign these pardons on President Biden's behalf without his knowledge, without his consent, or against his will, they're not valid. This is forgery. This is obstruction of justice. This is conspiracy. There are many federal crimes, and if you're not signing these pardons with the president's knowledge and consent, they're void.
Well, and I think this is a pretty serious issue in that it's one that I don't know, that really needs to be drilled down on, that they need to figure this out. There's a serious argument to make those null and void. And what could this mean if that would occur, for Hunter, for Schiff, what a list, Fauci, others.
How you would test this is you would bring indictments against people who were pardoned, who are criminals. And then when they go to present their pardon, to say that they are not subject to the criminal prosecution because they have this presidential pardon, then the judge would decide at that time whether the pardon was valid or not. So let's test this.
Yeah, I think so. Very interesting. Okay, so if Biden's legal signature was used, as you've been mentioning, that perhaps is the case, without his consent or knowledge, couldn't this have, far-reaching effects beyond just the pardons? Because how do we know there's other things that weren't similarly situated?
Yeah, that's exactly right. This is why you can't elect a demented president.
Every time you say demented, I'm just like, oh my God. Because it's really true, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know what else you would call it. The guy doesn't know what he, had for breakfast, and he's the president of the United States, and people are signing pardons behind his back, and apparently he didn't know about some of these pardons when he was asked about it by reporters. So Alina Hava had a really good post on this. She posted that a picture of Jill Biden and said Jill Biden was hashtag AutoPen. So who knows who's running this country, but it certainly wasn't Joe Biden.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. It's interesting. I can't get the visual out of my head of Hunter running into the AutoPen room and then, just signing away. And what about this talk, that we highlighted in the beginning of our conversation of impeaching judges? What is the process, or what does that actually look like? And what about the injunction bonds on some of these cases?
Yeah, so let's start in reverse order. If you seek an injunction against the government, you have to post an injunction bond. So, for example, one of the injunctions that was sought and ordered was when these activists ran to this radical judge in D.C. Biden judge Ali, who barely got through. He brags he's the first Muslim and Arab on the D.C. federal court. He is a Canadian citizen. I don't know how the hell you can still be a Canadian citizen with dual loyalty and be a federal judge for the rest of your life. But this judge ordered the president to send $2 billion in foreign aid against the president's will. The president wanted to pause this to make sure, for example, that we're not funding Hamas terrorists under the guise of Gaza humanitarian relief, or we're not, funding waste, fraud, and abuse like transgender frogs or whatever the hell it is in Pakistan or wherever this money's going. And the president has every right. He actually has the duty under Article 2 to make sure we're not funding terrorism or waste, fraud, and abuse. And this judge came in and said, you can't do that. He issued this illegal temporary restraining order, which is supposed to pause the case. I don't know how sending $2 billion is pausing the case. But when you do that, you have to put up an injunction bond. So if it comes out later that this $2 billion should not have been spent, the government can recover this $2 billion with an injunction bond. So the judge didn't order this injunction bond. And then all this did in the Supreme Court, of course, with the Chief Justice and Justice Amy Coney Barrett, did not stop this on some stupid civil procedure grounds that was legally flawed. And so here we are 2 weeks later, and now this DC Obama Judge Boasberg is ordering the president to turn around flights during the middle of a national security operation. Thank God they didn't turn around the flights, but it just shows you that these radical activist judges are emboldened. They're sabotaging the presidency, and these judicial saboteurs need to be impeached and removed from office and defunded.
And what about Congress's oversight responsibilities over Article 3 judges? What is the roadmap here?
Well, I used to have that role in the Senate. I was the chief counsel for nominations on the Senate Judiciary Committee with the oversight portfolio over the federal judiciary. And Chairman Chuck Grassley just put out a letter today. I posted it on my social. I used to work for him. He's a great guy. He's going to start doing oversight on this, on the injunction bond issue, on these activist judges. He's tired of it, and he's gonna put an end to this. And so I'm working very closely with Chairman Grassley and his staff, along with Leader Thune and his staff, and several other people, to come up with legislation to make this painful for these activists so they stop doing this. And so if they want to play these political games, they're going to get political prizes.
Oh my God, I'm telling you, it's it's really unbelievable. What do you expect to be like the next steps here in terms of perhaps like an impeachment of that judge?
Well, they are working on impeachment articles right now in the House of Representatives. I'm going to make damn sure that there is political pressure on this judge. My goal is to get him impeached. He probably won't get removed because there are too many Democrats in the Senate, but I want to make the process the punishment. I want to make this judge go through this process. I want to make it painful. If he's sitting through impeachment proceedings, he can't order the president to turn around flights. And I want to make an example out of him. So if other activists, here's what happens. These DC judges, Democrat judges, and I know this for a fact, they are giddy. They are trying to figure out who gets to issue the next TRO against President Trump, and they're judicial saboteurs. I want to make this painful for them and other judges around the country so they think twice about doing this. I'm going to make them infamous. I'm going to make their jobs hell going through an impeachment proceeding. And even if they don't get removed from office, it's not going to be pleasant for them. Well,
and it shouldn't be. Actions have consequences. And if they're going to engage in this fashion, I mean, it's the audacity. It's egregious to say that you can actually try to overrule the president of the United States. And who was it? Bukele? It was like too late.
Yeah. Well, I would say this. This is what I would say to the Chief Justice, John Roberts. It is actually shameful that you have allowed this to happen. You've allowed these activist judges to do this around the country. You're the Chief Justice of the United States, and you are the Circuit Justice for the District of Columbia. And you have allowed these radical activists to sabotage the presidency. And because you're not doing your job in stopping this, Congress has to step up with impeachment in the House and aggressive oversight by Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley in the Senate, because you failed to do your job.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. But I love that everything's already in motion. And, I want you to come back, of course, often on the show, but to discuss this as this proceeds forward. I think it's very interesting, and I think it's very important to establish this precedent, because we don't need this over the next 4 years, these activist judges going rogue and violating the Constitution. It's insane, and it's not going to happen under your watch and President Trump's.
We didn't have the Article 3 project at the beginning of the Trump administration. I was in the Senate confirming as judges. We have it now. There's no way in hell we're going to let activist judges sabotage President Trump's presidency again.
All right. That's music to my ears. Mike Davis, always a pleasure. And everybody go follow Mike's work. Go to article3project.org. Get involved, get informed, and be supportive. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.